it is I, your neighborhood-friendly coach, trainer, promoter, 43-year-old professional wrestler extraordinaire. It is Zack, prime time Reeb, and this is the Going Over podcast, the big number 50, and I'm joined by almost the big number 50, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora, and welcome to tonight.
Oh, you had to poke yourself in the eye. That was good, man. Yeah, I was as I'm getting ready for this episode, I was like, the big 50. I was like, I'm gonna be the big 50 this year. So the irony right there. But yeah, just it's exciting to do another podcast. And gosh, man, it's like the things that we talk about on the podcast and I don't know, man. I just
Halfway home, buddy. Halfway home.
Right, exactly. We gotta get to that 100 before we hang it up, or before we get some momentum, or before we monetize it, or whatever. I don't know what happens. What happens at 100? What happens when we get there?
We keep going.
Keep going.
We just keep going because we enjoy doing this, and people are starting to listen. People are starting to, whether they love the criticism or they hate the criticism, the future of professional wrestling comes from, and pretty much anything you do in life, it all comes from being able to take constructive criticism. That's just one thing I wanted to point out. I wanted to point out that, we've talked about a lot of different people on this show. And when you talk good about people, they love you. They don't complain. You don't hear a word from them. You don't even hear a thank you for that. And if you say something bad about somebody, we're the devil. You know what I mean? The devil incarnate. But, at the same time, if you go back and watch some episodes, and I'm sure down the road people will, you and I critiqued one of our matches, and we just shit all over ourselves, man. And that's what we do, We talked about it earlier today. I said, hey, you might not want to run that last show. I said, the attendance has been down a little bit. You might not have time to promote. Might not be a good idea. You proved me wrong. And then it's not a prove me wrong. And it's not the way that I came at you. We talked about that earlier. I didn't come at you like trying to offend you by saying not to do it. I was just saying, like, hey, if you don't got time and the flyers aren't ready and you're not going to get out there to do it, right. It might not happen.
Well, and you know what? You saying that to me was it could, I don't know, like I think about it, and I think about, like, could I have taken offense to it? Could I have been like, oh, what an asshole, Zack doesn't believe in me or whatever? But it wasn't like that. It was like, hey, just a suggestion, man. It's like the attendance is down. You don't have that much time to promote the next show. The flyer's not even ready. Like the deck is stacked against you in this scenario. But I don't know, man. I think about the times that people told me that I couldn't do any, oh, you can't do that or whatever. And, and you want to prove people wrong, right? And I think about the times that people have given me criticism, and it's never like, I can't believe that guy said that to me. My coach said that to me or whatever. I think about so many different scenarios of, I remember vividly us being in film study and my coach pointing something out to me that I fucked up in a basketball game. And then my coach giving a seminar about coaching strategies and, mistakes that people made. And I'm the person that's on that video, and it's like, is it intentional? Your coach is trying to embarrass you, or is it just like, hey, this is a situation that happened, and I think this is a great learning tool to use um, to instruct other coaches, or you're giving a seminar to other coaches about your coaching strategy or the reason that you do things or things like that. And you hear so many times people want to use the analogy, you can catch more flies with honey, right? Be sweet to people, be nice. But I feel like coaching that I got, especially for me in junior college, was a coach ripping my ass on a daily basis, telling me I was a piece of shit, and um, maybe not talking me up, but at the same time, it was exactly the type of coaching that I needed, And I know some people aren't like that. Some people don't want to be coached hard, right? They want their coach to tell them all the good things they're doing. Don't mention the bad things, just mention the good things. You did a great job today doing this, right? Awesome. You can coach some guys like that, and maybe that's going to get them to play well. And some guys, that's going to get them to kind of relax and have a false sense of security about, oh, I'm doing great. I don't have to do better, right? But I don't know. Like, we think about our whole goal here. And I think some of the comments that I got was almost offensive to me, like that there is some sort of clout chasing, or you want to say buzzwords, or you're trying to get a reaction, things like that, that I'm just like kind of a shot at my character, that I'm like, the whole essence of this podcast is let's try to help people get better, right? And you just mentioned it. We watched our own match, right? And in the last episode, I was telling you about how your punches sucked, right? Because it's holding each other accountable. It's like you literally, as we're walking to the car, you said, don't tell me that I had a good match. There's got to be something that I can fix, right? And I don't know how many times I've said that statement. Like, I don't want someone to tell me, hey, good match, because in reality, I know I didn't do everything correct. I couldn't possibly do everything correct, right? You think about how many matches you watch that you go, man, that match was amazing. You think about Undertaker and Shawn, the first one at WrestleMania, like how
it had a lot of fuck ups.
Right, but everyone says how good it was, right?
Yeah.
But you guarantee those two guys watch that match back, they see all the little fuck ups that they had, right? Even though everyone says how good it was. So, it's like, do you want someone to help you get better? And maybe a better question is, do you give a shit about getting better? Or is this just phony pro wrestling, and who gives a shit if it looked the way you wanted it to look or whatever, So I think that's a factor in there as well. But yeah, so definitely some hurt feelings, and like I'm feeling like defending myself against people that I really, really like and respect and enjoy being around and things like that. And then it's just like feeling like you're trying to get put out buzzwords, try to get reaction out of people, and I'm thinking, how many fucking people are seeing this, and how many people know who you are, and just things like that. It's like 100 people watch this podcast. That's about our average of what we get, 100 views. And it's like, and most of these people, like, maybe they've never even been to one of our shows. They have no idea what's going on or what we're talking about, but we're talking about scenarios that we feel like are beneficial, that can help someone else in the long run. As I'm choking on something, whatever I'm breathing.
You said it right there. It's scenarios. We're going to talk about scenarios because it's a fucking informative podcast. And if you're on the wrong end of the scenario, it's going to be somebody else. Like you said, and I remember we were walking to the car after the show, just putting our bags away, whatever. And I said, hey, man, give me some fucking feedback, because nobody's going to give me feedback. I'm going to say, hey, what was it good? I know what's good. I've been doing this long enough. You know if it's good. I don't need you to tell me what's good, because I know what's good. I'm out there doing it. I know what's good. I need you to point out if I hit those ropes hard enough. Did I slow down? Did I duck too early? Did I expose something? Were my punches weak? You know what I mean? And I'm watching it and I'm going, yeah, that last one was bad. If all three of them would have been like that last one, I would have been. But when I watched it, I was like, first one wasn't bad. Second one was worse. Third one was bad. Good thing all three of them didn't go like that. But when you told me that, I was just like, fuck, man. And you know what I did? I didn't call you a piece of shit. I didn't get mad at you or anything like that. I actually went to class the next day and got 15 to 20 students lined up, and we worked on the clinch. We worked on blocking the punch, throwing the punch, blocking the punch, throwing the forearm, blocking the punch, everything, grabbing the clinch. We went over this because you told me that my punches look weak after a blocked punch coming back off, on the comeback. And I was like, fuck this. Not only am I going to work on this, I'm going to make my entire primetime university work on this shit all day long, because they were weak. At the end of the day, they were weak. And that's something we need to work on. So you need to go watch yourself. And I will never, this is our podcast, right? This is what we do. It's informative. And it just so happens that we record on Sunday mornings, is one of the days we record. And we do that. We both wake up very early on Sunday mornings and commit to this because we're coming off of shows on the weekend. So it's less than 8 or 10 hours, whatever, from it happening. And we sit down afterwards and we talk about it at dinner. And then we whoever I'm riding home with, whatever distance, we talk about this. And I wake up in the morning and I got some guys I talk about, and then we do this podcast. And it's so that we can talk about what just happened when it's fresh in our minds after we broke it down. We've seen it live. We talked about it after at dinner. We've had time to mull it over and think about it. And now we're here on our podcast, which this podcast is here. Nowhere in this have we ever said, like, when we've critiqued somebody or given some advice on a situation, did we go, man, you're a piece of shit human being. You should be thrown out in front of the freeway, blindfolded in front of moving traffic, you drug addict, or anything like that. Like, we're not saying that stuff. We are saying something going, hey, this is what happened last night. I also said, hey, I saw something in the tag match where when the heel knocked the baby face off the apron, they did something different than I was used to seeing. 4 people that I never thought were going to teach me something 26 years into my career. And there's a lot of blessings. And just because it's something that it's a negative, what you think is a negative in a scenario is not a scenario. It's going to let people know, like, hey, I have to know what I'm doing in this situation. It's basically saying the referee is just as important as the wrestler. The ring announcer is just as important as the wrestler. The commentators are just as important as the wrestler. The ladies or the men out there slinging hot dogs and nachos on the floor are just as important as the wrestler, because they're helping with the income and the profit gross of the show that's going to keep the damn thing running.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that we're all a team. This isn't like us against them mentality. This is a hey, in the ring, when you have a match, we've talked about so many times how important each individual person is to the overall picture, right? It's the team effort, and we've talked a lot about tag team wrestling. And when you have two good tag teams, a good manager, and a good ref, like magic can happen, right? Because you have so many great opportunities for people to pitch in their little thing, right? Make something special happen. So I think it's important to remember that it's like, it's not a a scenario where in a match, like, oh well, you as a wrestler can't talk to someone that we hire at our company to be an official, ringing the bell, doing the commentary, whatever. It's not it's like we're all in this together. We're all this big team. So, I want to do my part and I want everyone else to do their part. Right. So if something goes awry, it's like, hey, we need to fix this because this is what happened in our collective match. Right. And that's like, after, and I just remember me being on commentary the first Red Bluff show that I was at, and, fucking up and you going, hey, the ring announcer is talking right now, and the fans, when they're watching this video afterwards, are going to be listening to the ring announcer. So stop fucking talking on your headset. It was just like, and to me, it's like, I've never done commentary before. I've never thought about that aspect, but you tapping me on the shoulder, on the leg, going, hey, shut up, dude. He's talking. Didn't make sense to me at the time, but then after it was explained to me, I was like, okay, I'm talking over the ring announcer when it comes to when we're watching this post-production. So, you're distracting the fan from this happening. So, and it's no different from, what we talked about in the last podcast. It's like, we're just trying to smarten someone up and go, hey, this is what happened in this scenario, and this is the result of what happened.
Well, the more we talked about it more, and the more I thought about it in this scenario, because we talked about it last time. Here we are on the big 5-0, baby. We're halfway home, and we're halfway there. And I thought about it, and it ain't just okay. So here's the reason for everybody out there, because now we're going to get deep. The reason we say 5 minutes have elapsed, 10 minutes have elapsed. The reason we're saying this isn't because there's a time limit on the match. So why we're saying this is, if you have a very good referee in the ring, we don't even have to say 5 minutes have elapsed, right? We don't have to say 10 minutes have elapsed. Because if you have good wrestlers and a good referee in the ring, not only do the workers know when to do it, but let's just say the workers don't know when to do it, a good referee is going to go, all right, guys, take it home, get it out of here. And we don't need the cheater sticks, is what I call them, the radios and the earbuds and the earpieces in our ear going, hey, tell these guys to get some heat. Tell these guys to go home. A Sparky Ballard, and I love saying his name, and he watches the show. What up, Spark? You're the man. Sparky's going to go, hey, man, let's wrap this up. He's going to tell the guys to wrap this shit up. So the 5-minute cue is for the younger talent and maybe an inexperienced referee to say, hey, guys, when you hear 5 minutes have elapsed in the contest, start taking it home, right? It's a way to teach the younger guys, hey, let's get home. Let's go home. The thing about that situation, and even saying 5 minutes had elapsed, and what I was talking about is it didn't need to be done. Nobody had to say 5 minutes had elapsed in that situation, because Dreamy Drew, the MILF Hunter, the bad man Eric Dennis, and Brandon Nash, and Annabelle out there too, they were heading there. That's why the hot tag, that's why they were building the hot tag, is because they already knew it was time to go there. They didn't need the dummy cue of 5 minutes have elapsed. So it's not that it's a bad thing to do, is what I'm saying. It's It's put in place right there just in case the guys aren't heading that direction around that area of the time. So it's just a simple reminder to say, hey, five minutes have passed in this contest. So my whole point of that scenario is when they're already going there, as a ring announcer, as a referee, as anything, as any part of this show, the commentary, outside parts, the guy who rings the bell, if the wrestlers are already heading there, it's you don't even need to say it, is what I was getting at. And
Right.
and the point to the refereeing thing, it's nothing that we can't cover, right? Like you get two guys in the ring that know what they're doing. It's nothing that we can't cover and work around. But the biggest thing that got me in some of these scenarios is if it's not going to be a 3 count, or it's not going to you're not going to come out at the right time, at least let's make it a 2 3/4 count. At least the ref has to show a near fall, or he almost hit the mat for 3. You can't come in that scenario and it runs the thing, and you go 1, 2, and you stop your hand up here, because that's a 2 count. So the count has to be close too. And it's like I say about all these guys, man, it's everybody. Everybody gets their ass chewed after a PCW show. Everybody gets their ass chewed at practice. And I go, hey, man, I showed you how to do this already. I'm not going to show you again. You're not paying attention. You guys aren't leaving here and going to do something outside of this. So I'm not going to waste my time showing you this if you're not going to pay attention to it. So in turn, especially at a show, if you tell somebody something at a show, if you tell me something at a show, I'm going to take it to heart and listen. If I tell you something at a show, whether it's the wrestling aspect, the commentary, promoting before it even happens, something about helping the training school a little bit. We've been around this long because we are passionate about this, and we are trying, me and you are working together right here so that both of our promotions can thrive, man. And that's what's really going on here. So yeah. So I will apologize to anybody anywhere for my passion. I will
Of
I
course.
will I will
Well,
apologize for my honesty and my passion.
of course, and I think that gets mistaken sometimes. I've had dozens of conversations about that. You know, I'm in the crowd at a show, and um, you're saying things that you would say so a wrestler understands what's going on, right? When you say things like "don't die out there," right? You're not saying don't pass away in the ring. You're saying don't stop fighting back, right? But it's insider terms that you're saying, and I think sometimes they're perceived by other people watching the show as you're shitting on what these guys are doing, but in reality, you're just like, for me especially, like, I'm giving live coaching while a match is going on in terms that only wrestlers understand, right? And it's, those type of things, like don't die. Like, and I've a great example is a
Dead fish.
well, I was gonna say a great example for a referee is you're reminding a guy to make sure he's not just standing there with his hands down, letting a guy punch him in the face.
Mhm.
So he's saying things like, hey, let's go, you got to protect yourself. It sounds like a referee is just wanting a performer to stay safe, but in reality the referee is saying, don't forget to put your hands up and protect yourself so it doesn't look like you're dying in there. You're just standing there taking a beating and you're not defending yourself at all, because that makes it look really fake and choreographed. So those little insider terms where it sounds like you're saying, shitting on the match, not really. I'm giving you subtle reminders for you to go, oh shit, I should get my hands up so it looks like I'm defending myself. Maybe I cover up my head and leave the body open, right? So the guy doesn't just give me 19 straight punches to the head, right? And I don't register and I don't get up.
29, asshole.
So I think about things like that. But something I was actually thinking about was how much feedback in general we get about this podcast. You talked about refereeing, and somebody made a comment on this last thing that we should have an entire podcast about refereeing. And of course, I just shot him the link to the Sparky Ballard episode. But it's like there's so many things that are interesting about refereeing that people sometimes just don't understand. We talked about the way that you count as a referee, the cadence that you have. You're the official in there. You're keeping the law, right? But you don't want to count to 10 in 10 seconds per se, right? You want to have some leniency on the count so the fans hear you counting. The referees have the guys have a little bit of time to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish within the count.
This is a show. This is a performance. Nobody's really a referee. Nobody's really a wrestler. No, we are dancing. We are working together, and we are doing this most importantly because we're trying to be safe. I was talking to someone today, and they said, "Hey, is this guy still work for you?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, he works for me now, and it's a job outside of wrestling." And I'm talking to the person. They said, he's a Mr. Know-it-all. He's annoying. And he can't be a Mr. Know-it-all when there's chainsaws and trees. And, it's like there's a lot of danger around here. And I told that person, I said, now you know what I deal with. Because for 20, I've been doing it a long time. I could fucking reiterate over and over how many years I've been doing it. And I will, but it don't matter. What matters is the first thing you learn in this business is how to protect yourself, right? But we're not just protecting our safety. We're protecting our characters. We are protecting the place on the show. We're protecting why we're going. Why are we fighting for this belt? What is our motivation? What drives us to do this? Because if we don't believe in what we're doing, how can we expect the fans to believe in it too? The fans that are sitting in the crowd should not be hip to what's going on. They should not. I don't care if they're family, friends. They should not know what is happening here. That's a no-no. We don't do those things. And most importantly, like I said, this is a performance. We're trying to protect each other and we're trying to make each other look good. I do not want to make the referee look bad. I talked about a scenario the other day where the wrestler had reached out and touched the rope. And when we were talking, we told the other wrestler, touch the rope, but reach your hand up one last time because your fingertips are touching it. Reach and really, really oversell that you're going to grab it, right? So the guy to reach up, but he's reaching out and he's got 4 fingers touching the rope. The referee's down there looking at this, and it goes on for 10 seconds, and I'm at commentary, and I got to basically yell into the ring, pull him back. What are you doing? I got to use commentary because I'm close to him. And he's like, oh, and he pulls him back, and I said, man, you have to be aware of what's going on. He's like, well, he never lifted his hand up to grab the ropes. And I'm like, no shit. He did not do that. But you have to know as the performer working in the performance, okay, I got this hold on him. I got this submission hold. He's touching the rope with 4 fingertips. The ref is right there watching. He hasn't lifted his. So I have to go, he's not going to do it, or he didn't do it in time. We're just not going to get that. So I'm going to pull him back off the rope so I don't bury the referee, because that's at that point we're burying the referee. So I don't want my job as a performer is not only to not bury my opponent. My job is to also not bury the referee, to not bury the ring announcer, to not bury the commentary. Like I everybody that's around, that's involved in this entire production and post production of this, we are all supposed to be in on this and working together. So as it, like you said earlier, as a team, so we don't bury this thing. So if I'm passionate and I come up to you and say, hey, dude, you can't do this or you can't do that, I'm telling you this because when you get to the level of production, when you get to the level of live shows, when you do these things, those are going to be glaring, just very glaring things. And it's something I wanted to talk to you about. And it's the big 50, right? But who gives a shit? Because we talked about it. We're doing this, and if they're listening, they're listening. If they're not, they're not. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to bring it back up from WrestleMania, was we talked about John Cena's big entrance at WrestleMania, and there was like some redheaded girl digging for a energy drink or something she dropped in the entryway. And as I'm watching, I see the flying flying cam on Monday Night Raw on Netflix, and you see a lot of bad cuts where a lot of people, like, it shows cameramen and people it shouldn't be showing all the time. And now they're walking the guys through the gorilla position, and their entrance music is hitting and they're coming out. And this is something that Vince McMahon would have fired people for, or never, you would have never seen the light of day in a WWE production, because Vince McMahon was very, like, his production of WWE, Triple H, whoever's running this, will never be on the level of a Vince McMahon doing this. And I wanted to get your opinion, man. And because we always talk about production and how important it is, how important Doc Haywood is to professional wrestling, and people don't even realize it. But what are your thoughts since Vince McMahon has been gone? I saw a wide cam shot, and I think it was Braun Breaker and fucking oh God, who else? Sami Zayn. No, it was Braun Breaker and Jey Uso in the ring. And the canvas is black, and it's just covered with, it's just riddled with advertising logos, man. And I just thought for a brief second, Vince never liked logos in the ring. And I'm watching this going, I get why. Because this looks cheap. This looks stupid. This looks phony. This looks tacky.
Right. Yeah, and I think you got to assume that it's something related to like a UFC type thing, right? It's an opportunity to sell advertisement, right? And I don't know. I mean, is WWE too big to do that type of stuff, or is it vice versa? Are they so big that those advertisements on the canvas are super valuable, that people are like, how many people are watching this program? You know, like, oh well, I'll pay whatever it takes to get my logo on there where, you know, millions of people are seeing it. So yeah, I definitely understand that, because I remember listening to, you know, the CM Punk talk about how he wanted to have, you know, sponsors on his trunks, and they said no. And then Brock Lesnar came in with the Jack's links and, you know, different stuff on his MMA style shorts, right? So it's like, it's just, you know, and I don't know, is it the right person has to do it, or what it is, you know, what is it?
I get that they're making a lot of money. I really do. Like, I get
Right.
that they're not giving away any tickets. I know, because I had talked to Rick Luxury about something, and Luxury always gets the free tickets whenever they're in Missouri, and he got them when they were here. And he's like, nah, they ain't handing them out no more, man. Nick Khan, since they become TKO, Endeavor, UFC, they've all merged together. Like I get what they're doing. I get they're making a shitload of money off sponsors. They things that house shows, things that aren't generating money that was good for the boys to get better. It's like, no, we're cutting that shit out. I get what they're doing, man. And I get why they're filming the way they were. All I'm saying is Vince McMahon was more about the production. He was more about hiding all these things that he didn't want you to see to make this really beautiful, tight performance from start to finish, like the way they go off the air, the copyright. I mean, just how tight Vince McMahon ran his programming that time compared to now. And I get why they're doing it, brother. I 100% get why they're doing it. It just looks tacky to me. It just looks tacky. I think Vince McMahon would he would spend a little more money, like WrestleMania this year. I've noticed the WrestleManias too. Vince let a lot of funding go into the entrances of a lot of those guys like Triple H and John Cena and many others. And the entrances just aren't what they used to be. So McMahon was all about the WWE. He loved his money, don't get me wrong, but he was about the way this product was presented. And I see the presentation of it now, and I think it's very sloppy. And I also think it's very redundant. On Monday Night Raw, I don't watch SmackDown, so maybe I got to check a full episode out of SmackDown. But I know that it's going to start out and it's going to show the city, and they're going to zoom in with the little helicopter thing, and then it's going to show the guys that have the matches walking into the building together, and that's cool sometimes, but they do it all the time. So I just think it's tacky, and I think there's never going to be anybody that's going to produce wrestling like Vince McMahon produced wrestling. But here's something I wanted to talk to you about too. There was a lot going on. I'm glad we do them on these Wednesdays. Did you see that injury to Zoe Stark on Monday Night Raw in the women's three-way Money in the Bank qualifier?
Some sort of knee injury, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure I saw it over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's just
timing.
Right.
It was timing. And I know when I was in Japan, I don't speak Japanese. And the guys that I wrestled for those 6 weeks, those 19 matches, they didn't speak English. So there's a lot of timing issues. And I know springboarding, I just wanted to touch on that injury because her timing was off and she was a little deep. And I was listening to Bubba talk about it, and Bubba gave a great explanation on Busted Open. But one thing I wanted to talk about was WWE uses Manila hemp rope, right? They use real rope. It bites you. It doesn't hurt you, but it leaves marks on your rib cage. And independent wrestling, AEW, TNA, WCW, ECW, a lot of people besides WWE use 1/8-inch cable. They use the cable rope wrapped in the hose. Not only is it stiffer and tighter, but it's more economy friendly, so you don't have to continue to buy this stuff over and over. WWE can buy. I use real rope like WWE for years, and I love it, but it gets loose real quick, and we're a mom and pop shop, man. You can't just go. I'm pretty sure when you go to Monsters wrestling rings, you get 3 cable ropes for $300, and you get 3 Manila hemp rope for $600, which they're not Manila hemp rope. My father pointed that out right away. He's like, "Why is that rope yellow? That's not real Manila hemp rope. That's why it snapped on you. They cheated you on this." But the thing is, WWE uses real Manila hemp rope, so it's different than cable, which I think it's very weird that the number one company in the entire world uses this real rope, and everybody else learns to wrestle on fucking cable. So then they get there. That's why Rey Mysterio impressed me so much, because he just hopped right in and it didn't matter to him. He just bounced off that Manila hemp just like the cable. That was the most impressive thing about Mysterio, is how well he adapted the size of the ring and the Manila hemp rope. But in this sense, so when I now the people that springboard in the middle of the rope, like in the middle of it, like right in the middle of the ring, there's no room for error there. You're either hitting there perfectly, and also in that situation with the real rope, you're going to hit on it, and if you don't land right on it perfectly to send you up, it's going to send you rocketing out forward, or it's going to send you rocketing out backwards. And like Bubba Dudley said, the human body, when it knows it's not going to connect the way it does, it reacts a different way, right? Like your body reacts a different way. And it's just one thing that I've always found in wrestling is the biggest no-no. Whether you're jumping off the top rope, springboarding, going to the outside, even simply doing something in the ring, landing on one leg is never been good for anybody in professional wrestling, man. So no, it doesn't matter who's at fault in that scenario to me. If you're gonna land on one leg, you're gonna break your goddamn leg or tear your ACL, MCL, whatever it is. So I just didn't know if you had saw that.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it like replayed a whole bunch of times. I wasn't sure like who it was, or I feel like it was on one of those channels that shows nothing but botches or something like that, where you see just dangerous moves. So you see Sid break his leg, then you see that clip of that girl. So it's like yeah, or you see the
What
you
about
know the Owen pile driver on Steve Austin, and what were you gonna say? What about what?
Wolfpack guy? Do you remember a few years back? Once we're gonna get to the point here where we're gonna bring stuff up, and it's gonna be funny to like watch the video too. But do you remember like that the music was playing? Wolfpack is back because of mass destruction, and the Backyard Kid came out. And he hops up on the middle rope. Like I always tell Adam, if you can't get on the middle rope and then jump, and remember he turned to jump
It broke
180
both legs. Yeah.
and he broke both legs. And he looked, not only did he look like a cricket or a grasshopper, he looked like that movie. Oh God, was it Arrival? It was with Charlie Sheen. It was about the aliens in the Charlie Sheen movie. I forget what it was called. It was an old one, but the black kid had the legs break back like that, and he ran. And I just remember thinking like, God, man, like you literally jumped from the middle rope back into the ring and broke both of your legs. And, and this thing went viral on the internet, man. That's
Oh yeah.
that's another thing too, is people are waiting around with their fucking cell phones to watch you mess up so
Oh
that
yeah.
they screw putting it on Botchamania. I saw somebody today, and I got to send you the video. This guy goes to pick his wife up or something in the living room in his arms, and she's too heavy. And he ends up world's strongest slamming her right into the floor. And then literally it cuts to somebody go and get their ass whooped. Somebody. And it's and then I saw another video. This is getting big with Mark Henry too. And they're at a school, and some little girl's running through the locker room, and she's got the phone. And then you see this big black girl marching through, mad, and then the whole school's walking behind her. And then it cuts over, and it's the Mark Henry video. Somebody's gonna get their booty whipped. Somebody's gonna get their cat peeled back. And I'm just like, oh, so this is a thing now. You know what I mean? Like, they're waiting for us to mess up out there in the ring, especially on indie wrestling. So people got their phones out. They want to watch you mess up. We're just trying to keep production tight here, and we don't want people to laugh at you. So I'm not trying to get people to laugh at you. I'm trying to get people not to laugh at you, dickhead.
Right. Exactly. It's like, you think about all, like, if you go back and watch the previous 49 episodes, how many times do we make fun of ourselves or talk about something that we fucked up on, whether it's a show, whether it's promoting, whether it's a match, you know, it's equal opportunity ass chewing, or equal opportunity, like holding each other accountable. And it's like, hey, you fucked this up, man, you got to be better. I feel like that's the whole point. It's like you're trying to get people to be better at what we're trying to get good at here, what we're trying to go out and put on a show for the fans. I just want you to be better at doing that, So
The world's worst singles match that had 2 tag team partners on the outside. They went 5 minutes before they tagged somebody in. I had the distinct honor of standing in that ring with my hand. That's what happened. I got in there and I was like, ring the bell, guys. And I put my hands down there like I was ready. And then 2 minutes later, I shifted over to this side out of the way of the camera too and went, what the fuck's going on here?
right.
And then I was like, hey, I even told the guy. It was a funny moment too, because I'm in the ring reffing and I said, hey, he knocked him on the ground and he's selling. And I said, hey, cover him. And the guy looked at me like I was speaking Japanese. He was like, oh. And I said, cover him. I'm down here. I'm already down here too. I'm like, I'm like, jerk. I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, he looks at me. I'm like, cover him. I said it a third time, and he looks at me and he grabs the guy to pick him up. And I go, or don't. That's what I said to him. Like, or you don't have to if you would not like to. Go ahead and pick him up and go ahead and do some more terrible dog shit. That's fine with me, because now you're making me look bad too. So who cares at this point, right? We're just out here just having a good old time.
Oh my goodness. When we're talking about like having the viral moments and we're trying to get a reaction out of this, it made me think about all of this work that we put in, all the stuff that we talk about. People ask us for advice. We give them our sometimes brutal, honest opinion. And then we always talk about, you want to have that situation where somebody asks you for some advice and you give them a breakdown. Hey, you need to do this better. Work on this, whatever, right? And I always say, pick out one thing, one piece of that critique, and try to fix that, right? Because you can't fix everything. You can't go, okay, I got this laundry list of stuff, I got to fix all these things. Like, let's concentrate on getting good at fixing one of those things. And then you have the people that ask you, and I know you've said this, I've heard Ugly say this, like, don't feel like you have to ask advice, somebody to watch your match, critique your match. Don't feel like you have to do that. Only do that if you want to get better, right? And so when you ask someone for advice and they give you the advice, and I've heard you say this, I've said it a bunch of times, Ugly has said it, if you're not going to fix the things that I pointed out that I think you need to fix, if the next match I watch you wrestle, you do all the same shit that I critiqued and say, hey, don't do this. Let's not have a back and forth where there's no sympathy for the baby face and the fans aren't getting behind one guy. And let's do things that make sense. If you're a bigger guy, don't let the small guy overpower you and pick you up and throw you around and do all these things. It's just, you're waiting for that person to, the next time they ask you for advice, you're going to be like, go fuck yourself, because you're not listening to anything I've got to say anyway. And I was just thinking about how much time you and I invested, because I know for me, it's always, I'll watch something through, right, as a fan, like just watch it. And then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to get my pad and paper out, my pencil, and I'm going to watch it a little bit more, watch for things a little bit more intense. And now I'm going to start critiquing it. I'm going to start stopping it and writing some ideas down. And so I'm thinking about, like, how much time did I invest in helping someone out or trying to help someone out, because it absolutely did not work at all. The advice was thrown just, if I would have handed them the piece of paper, they'd go, "Oh, sweet man," just crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. Right?
Paper
That's
airplane.
basically what I felt like after seeing the next match that this person was wrestling. I'm like, okay, so you know,
Well,
never ever ask me for a critique again, because you're not listening to anything I have to say. So that was the ultimate. You asked me for a critique of your match just because you thought that was the right thing to do.
and it's free.
Right.
We're giving it to you for free, dude.
Right.
Like it's not you know you asking us for it, but we're giving it to you for free. And and we want to, man. That's we're told not to, but you said just three names right there. Me, you, and Big Ugly. And we're not the only three. We're just three of the guys that have been doing it for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like Shane Dynasty. You know, there's just people out there. Uh, you ask them for critique, and there's actually people out there that will watch your shit and will, whether it's live or something you've sent them, will watch it and will critique it and we'll say good things to you too, and we'll respond to you. But we want to do this. I know Ugly wants people to send in matches. I know you do. I like it too. I like when people ask me to watch my match and they want me to break things down for them at the end. I really do, because I really am here to help people. You know what I mean? I have a student who also works around the places, and he told me the other day, he said, I think you're one of the most misunderstood guys in the business. I said, what the fuck you mean by that? He's like, I I think people have a bad you have a bad reputation with people because they think you're an asshole. And I'm like, well, yeah, nobody's going to like me until they meet me. And once you meet me and talk to me, you're like, oh, this guy's cool, man. This guy's down to earth. He's not gonna scream and yell at us. Like, if you get me screaming and yelling at you, there's a good chance that you might be like one of the worst people in the entire world, because I don't have time for the anger anymore. Back in the day, I didn't really either, but it's like, bottom line, Paul, we're just trying to help people, right? At the end of the day. So we do, but we're doing it for free. And that's the shitty part about it, is because we want to do it. So if we are critiquing you, or if you're fucking asking us, and here we go, hot button topic right here. If you're asking us to watch your shit and waste our fucking time for free, and then you don't change nothing, respectfully, go fuck yourself.
Exactly. That's
Respectfully.
respectfully, yeah. That's one of my favorite things. Hey, no offense, but those punches you threw, they sucked. No offense, though, right? It's like that's the
You
good
didn't
stuff.
no offense me though.
No, I didn't know. Well, because
You were real. You were real
I
with me.
wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't trying to offend you. I was just trying to tell you the truth.
True.
Like, this is what I thought of it. This is what I saw. Yeah, throw the laziness. I was like, even if you would have hit the guy with that punch, it definitely was not going to break the skin. It was not going to give him a black eye. It wasn't going to make any swelling on his face. You may have scraped him with your fingernail if your
He
hand
didn't
was a
need to
little bit
block him,
open.
is what you're saying.
Right? Yeah, that's
He
exactly
could have
right.
been like, fuck you.
Right? He could have ate him, and it wouldn't have hurt. Yeah. So
They were like this. Then this one went. Then the third one went. I'm blown up.
right. Well, and you know what? And I think that's a great, just small little thing about, we talk about throwing heat, and especially when it's going to be something that's missed. If you're going to miss a punch, if you're going to miss a clothesline, if it's getting blocked, if it's getting caught, all of those things, when we just have 5 minutes left in this podcast, if you're going to do those things, if it's going to be a missed anything, right? I don't know how many times I've heard, especially I know Luster, big stickler, throw it with intent, right? And I just remember the time that he was saying that he was wrestling somebody and he told them to duck and they didn't duck. And he's like, he's pissed off because he hurt himself because he threw a clothesline like the guy was going to duck and he was throwing it with intent and the guy didn't duck and he caught him with the chin and the bicep or something like that and, you know, had a bruise and all this stuff. And he's just like, you know, it had nothing to do with like the match sucked or anything like that. It's like, I told that motherfucker to duck, you know, and because he doesn't throw the big looper,
reading rainbow,
he doesn't throw the big looper. You know, you throw it with intent, and someone doesn't duck, and you hit them with it. And it's like I remember hearing that conversation between Vinny Massaro and Drake Frost. He's like, hey, if you're not throwing a lariat with the same intent when you're gonna miss it as when you're gonna connect, then it's gonna become very, very obvious to fans when you're gonna miss this because it's gonna look super telegraphed. It's gonna look, you know, it's gonna look phony, and that's something that you do not want to have. So I always think about, you know, having a conversation with Adam about this. If someone's going to catch your super kick, it's like, don't throw it so they can catch it at their waist, because you wouldn't throw a regular super kick and kick someone in the stomach. You're trying to knock their head off. So if they're going to catch it right here. I'm going to catch your boot right here, you know, make it look real.
I would love to go back. I would love to, whether it was 8mm or VHS. I'd love to go back to the start of our careers, man. The first 3 or 4 years and watch how much dog shit we did. How many bad mistakes we've made. I've been reprimanded in the locker room many times in my early career, up to the point that I don't want that anymore. If you're just to tell me about my match that my punches look weak during off the block, man, big night for me. You know what I mean? Big night. Because I don't want to make a major mistake, man. These people are driving long distances. It's like, shit, when the wise guy was working on your show, I mean, he was driving from bumfucked Egypt to San Jose to meet up with Dutra and then head all the way to your show. And that's a one-way trip. You know what I mean? Right. So we're driving long distances. We're, especially us older guys, our knees are locking up in the car. We got to get out every couple hours at a rest area or a Chevron or whatever, an extra mile. And we got to stretch out and walk and do what we got to do. So when we get there, man, we're not doing this for big bucks at that moment. We're doing this because we're trying to better something. So if we fucking tell you something and we're just, no matter who you are or who you think you are, if we're just telling you some advice saying, hey, don't do this, don't do that, this is messing that up, make sure you know what's going on next time or say something. Hey, don't tag out at this point. Don't do, you know, just go ahead and listen to us, man, especially if we're the ones paying the bills. You know what I mean?
You're like, just listen. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm trying to make you better at this. You know, and that's
what do we always say? Right. What do we always say? And this goes for everybody. It's not just.
Oh yeah. If you think we're talking about you, we probably are. Yeah. Well, it's those situations that so many people fall into. And, you know, you said you had a conversation with Sparky afterwards, and it's like, and he's telling you about different situations for each of those scenarios. So it's like, obviously, that's not just helping the people that you're intending it to help, it's helping others as well. So
you and I are getting better because of this, brother.
of course, yeah, absolutely.
You know
So
what that
hey,
means?
it's for you, it's for me. We're going over.